Good afternoon, dear students. I have already given you an introduction about micro teaching skill, and also I have given you the components and the skill of set induction and the skill of closure. So today I would like to give you the introduction about stimulus variation and its components. One of the major problems in classroom nowadays is the boring and regular teaching methodology of the teacher. So to replace this boring and traditional methodology of the teacher, so many teaching skills have been introduced to make the class very interesting. In such way, this skill of stimulus variation will make the students to create an interest among them while learning. Why? Because this particular skills make the students to involve in the teaching learning process. So first I would like to give you the meaning of what is stimulus and what is variation. So stimulus is nothing but it is an agent. It is an agent, or it is a thing which elicits or accelerates to the physiological or psychological action, activity or responses. So stimulus means it is a kind of kindling something. Okay, it is a kind of kindling something. So how you can create some interest towards the teacher means you have to do some actions or you have to show something. So there are so many ways to create or arouse interest among the students. So stimulus is one particular thing through which you can kindle the students interest. And the next is variation. Variation, you know very well, it is something which is keep on changing. So it is something which keep on changing. So variation means changing the stimuli to explain content lively and remove the boredom from the classroom teaching. So stimulus is a particular thing through which you can give variations in your teaching learning process. So stimulus variation, it is a set of teacher behavior that tend to secure and sustain pupils attention, is called as skill of stimulus variation. In a simple way, stimulus variation can be defined as it is a set of related teaching acts or behavior that enables the teacher to draw and maintain the attention of the students throughout the class. Okay, so it is nothing but it is the act or behavior which enables the teacher to draw or maintain the attention of the students throughout the class. So to keep the students in your hand, this stimulus variation will help you. So if you are using this skill of stimulus variation in your teaching learning process, you can keep your students in your hand, in your palm. So you can make them to learn interestingly, and you can keep their attention in your hand. So that is the major advantage of this stimulus variation. Next is objectives of stimulus variation. So the first one is to enhance the students' capacity of thinking. So if you are using the stimulus variation, you can enhance the students' capacity of thinking. And the second one is to enhance the active involvement of the students in teaching. Okay, so obviously if you are using this stimulus variation technique in teaching, you can make the students to involve in teaching learning process. Okay, and third one is to enable the students for understanding the concept. So this skill, this particular stimulus variation skill will help the students to understand the concept in a easier manner. Okay, next is it enhances the liveliness in teaching. So it will make the class very interesting and lively. Okay, the class will not be an artificial class, it will be a lively class. Okay, then next one is to grab the attention of the students. So if the teacher is practicing the skill of stimulus variation, the students will be having the attention towards the teacher and towards the lesson. So they will not lose their attention, and the teacher can easily grab the attention of the students. And the next one is to minimize students mental fatigue and boredom. So mental fatigue means mental tiredness. So regular teaching learning process will make the students to feel tired physically as well as mentally. So if you are, the students mental tiredness will be removed, and the boring class will become an active class. Okay, the last one is to learn how to use teaching aids. So if this stimulus variation will help the teacher as well as the students to know about teaching aid and about its effective teaching. Okay, so these are some of the objectives of using the skill of stimulus variation. Next we will see about the components of skill of stimulus variation. So the first component is change in interaction style. So there will be an interaction in the classroom, right? There will be an interaction in the classroom among the teacher and the student. So for example, teacher to the student, okay, and then teacher to the whole class, okay, and then teacher to a small group, okay, and then student to the student, and then student to the whole class. Okay, likewise there will be an interaction among the classroom between the teacher and the student and also between the student and the students. Okay, so this change in interaction style will help the students to break the normal teacher talking to the students. So that is the normal way of teaching, right? The teacher will be talking and the students will be simply listening. This is the normal and traditional method of teaching to the students. But in this skill, the teacher will be talking to the whole class, and then the teacher will be talking to the small group, and the teacher will be talking to the individual student, and again the student will be talking to the whole class, the student will be talking to the small group, and the student will be talking to a student. Okay, likewise the interaction style will be differing among the student. So this interaction style will make the class to secure and sustain pupils in attention towards the title. Okay, so that is the major advantage of using this change in interaction style. Next component is change in sensory focus. So as teacher you have to change the sensory focus of the students from one sense to another sense. Okay, from one sense to another sense means the students will be naturally listening to the class, right? So after some time the student should see something new, so that it will help them to be attentive or help them to be in focus in the classroom. So how a teacher can change the sensory focus of the student means, so the teacher can draw the attention of the students by writing something on the blackboard or showing some pictures to the student, or suddenly pointing something to the picture which is pasted on the blackboard, or the sentence which is written on the blackboard, and sudden verbal or non-verbal gestures, and immediately the teacher can raise the hand in front of the student, and you can tell something like, listen to this point, are you listening to the class? So such words can change the sensory focus among the students. So major thing is you should change the sensory focus of the students by showing a model pictures or charts, or you can write something on the blackboard, you can draw something on the blackboard. So these are some ways through which you can change the sensory focus of the students. Next component is teacher gesture. So the teacher can use both verbal as well as non-verbal movement. So teacher gesture means the teacher can smile at the student, or the teacher can use his hands for showing some actions, or showing some shapes, or the teacher can use his face for showing some emotions. So if it is a funny thing, you can laugh and show your emotion. If it is a sad thing, you can have a sadness on your face and show that particular face to the students, or you can give hands to the students for your body language. So many things are there. So the teacher gesture means the teacher uses gestures during the narration or explaining anything to the class. Gestures like movement of head, movement of hand, so body movement. So likewise, like these are some of the teacher gesture which the teacher can use while teaching. Okay, and the next component is teacher movement. So the teacher should move from one place to another place. So the teacher will be standing in front of the class, at the center of the class, and for if the teacher is willing to write something on the blackboard, the teacher will move from that place to the blackboard, and again the teacher can move from the teacher's place to the student's place. So such movement will be helpful for the students to move, to have a change in their vision or something. Okay, And the next component is change in speech pattern. So the change in speech pattern means the teacher can speak something in a loud voice, and suddenly the teacher can reduce her voice, and suddenly the teacher can call somebody to stand up and read something on the blackboard. So likewise the teacher can change the speech pattern. So if it is a question, you can raise your voice and ask. If it is a statement, you can talk in a normal flat tone. Likewise you can change your speech pattern. The teacher can change the voice during his teaching, sometimes louder pitch of voice and sometimes lower pitch of voice. Okay, so this speech pattern will help the students to be on the track in teaching learning process. And the next component is pausing. So pausing is nothing but sudden stop in the teaching process. So the teacher will be deliberately stopping somewhere. To check whether the students are following the teacher or not. Okay, so the deliberate silence will make the students to look up the teacher. So the students will be seeing their book. If the teacher is giving a sudden pass, immediately the students who are following the teacher will look up the teacher and see why the teacher has stopped. So this deliberate pass will make the teacher to understand whether the students are following the class or not. Okay, so some deliberate silence or pass should be done by the teacher while conveying information or lecture or explanation. So using such kind of silence or pass will make the teacher to understand whether the students learn the thing conveniently or happily, without spoiling their mind, or they should not deviate from the topic, right? They should be on the track. And the last component is pupil movement. So pupil movement means the student should be moved from one place to another place. So the students will be sitting for the whole class, right? From the beginning to the end, the student will be sitting there in his place. So how students can move from one place to another means, so if the teacher is making the students to move from one place to another, that movement should have some purpose in it. So you should not make the students to move unnecessarily. If the student is moving from one place to another place, that movement should have some purpose in it. Okay, so the teacher can ask the students to come forward and write something on the blackboard, right? Or match something on the blackboard, or draw something on the blackboard, or you can ask the student to come forward and read the paragraph for the whole class. So likewise the teacher can make the students from move to one place to another place. So these are the components of stimulus variation. Okay.